Greetings, here we are with another little overview video, and this time it is for the new Cthulhu by Gaslight Keeper's Guide for Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. As you notice, it still has the wrap on, so this is going to be a fresh video. However, I'm not going to bother putting the fresh label on the surface of it. Weirdly enough, I already have the player's handbook, and I've already taken it out of the wrapper, but I have yet to do a video on that. That's on my near to do in the future list. So if you want to see that video, please say so in the comments below. Maybe I'll pull it further forward, or if I get a lot of people saying yes. So, as you can see, when you order this book, it comes in a plastic sleeve or plastic film. Usually when companies do this, there's usually something else extra inside of it that might actually be loose, like a code card for a discount or something, or a collectible item, or something or other in that vein. However, that is not entirely an absolute guarantee in itself. Sometimes companies just do that, just to make sure the book is nice and extra durable. I bought this MSRP's for $49.95. $49.99. It's a fairly thick book, but not the thickest book. It comes with a ribbon, at least maybe 1 to 2 ribbons inside of it. Let's see if I can find the ribbons right off the bat and get you a quick count on how many ribbons. This book is intended as a keeper or a game. 2 ribbons come with it. So we have 2 ribbons in the book. This is essentially the setting keeper's guide for 1930s London. Nope, not 1930s. 1890s London. We have a very nice opening image with the full art extended all the way into the tunnel with the London bobbies discovering some rather horrifying possibility in the reality that they exist in. We have a nice little section on credit, as well as accreditations to the various books and companies and individuals that own various parts of the expanded Cthulhu mythos. We have a very nicely laid out table of contents with clear, large text heading the beginning of each section, as well as several subsections or subchapters of the book. It goes to be over 256 pages, which is a pretty good value for your gaming needs. Please note that they are very nice to include a content warning, as Call of Cthulhu is a particularly scary tabletop role-playing game. Although, for most part, if you are a game master or a keeper of arcane lore for Call of Cthulhu, you are most likely well aware of such things. It is important, though, as a standard practice to start your players on a more lighthearted adventure. Start with something more Scooby-Doo-ish or regular everyday mystery noir kind of feel, and then move yourself towards horror gradually over time. As you get to know your players better, you will eventually understand where their range of tolerance is for horror. But also, it doesn't hurt to ask every so often. So we have this nice little introduction, a lot of text, not a lot of artwork. We got this nice piece of artwork with a dark young. If that is correct, it looks like a dark young to me. We got Chapter 1, Keeper's Miscellany. We have a nice little quote from Charles Dickens right there. A very nice addition. We go into a section on desperate measures, the workhouse, and so forth. Society in the 1800s was actually quite dirty, and for the poor and destitute, many people were to say pile up in the boarding houses. And it's actually rather interesting when you look back in the history of things, how drastically terrifying a lot of people lived, such as the cheapest rent in a place you can get is a chair with a rope where you sit in it, but you can't sleep really. And then the next grade up is like you literally get yourself a pine box, literally a box to lay down inside of, and if you're lucky, you have a sheet to pull over your top of yourself with no padding. But then you also have upscale stuff like such as this country house right here, and so forth. We have a country house, a London townhouse right here, which is a long straight house, a middle class villa, which is actually kind of nice that they include a variety of places. A terraced house, right here, a workhouse, which is quite nice to have a variety of house maps to use for your Call of Cthulhu games. You have sections on crime and punishment and penalties used back then and so forth, hard labor, life sentences. If you ended up owing taxes, you could get thrown in jail or shipped off to Australia back then, which was a terrible fate in itself. And so forth. Goes over how prisons worked, famous criminals, mysteries of various eras, such as the Burns mystery of 1879 and so forth. So overall, this does provide more than enough fundamental bits of history as well as bits and tools for your game master to utilize right in the games, such as the maps for the houses, and how to create an effective sense of the world, verisimilitude of the world. This is a section on asylums, which is actually quite terrifying. If you look into 1800s asylums, that is a horrific situation where you could be at the worst situation, being just chucked in a room that was filthy, and occasionally the guards would come around and beat the crap out of you, or you would get stripped naked and forced to wash, or so forth. Please note that they have clothing on this person here. If you were to make this any more accurate, it would be way more disturbing. We have a nice little section with a bunch of ghouls jumping out of the back of a vehicle. And it's kind of a weird situation where this person seems to be frozen, but this ghoul is holding a watch in front of it. Pulp Cthulhu Gotan Goop. Oh yeah, there's also rules in here apparently for using this with regular Call of Cthulhu or Pulp Cthulhu rules. You got Chapter 2, Occult Secrets of the Golden Dawn, which was a rather famous occult group from the 1800s. If you want to, you could go to you can go ahead and look up the Golden Dawn movement on YouTube for more information. Or in gaming context, you could also go and look up The Invisible College by the RPG Pundit, which has a good bit of the Golden Dawn lore in it as well to add on to your stuff. The Invisible College is, however, a OSR product based on classic Dungeons and Dragons rule set. However, heavily modified to incorporate an appropriate hermetic facsimile of principles into it to replicate the accurate sense of an actual magic system believed by modern sorcerers, wizards, and witches and magicians. You got a section on the astral plane and various other movements. The outer order, the inner order, the hermetic skills optional section here. So your character can train in hermetic rituals and so forth. And then you have some nice charts here. The outer order accomplishments, the inner order accomplishments, and the inner order accomplishments 1984 onward. Even more fun information. And as you can see here, it continues on through here. You have a few new hermetic spells to utilize, such as the Pentagram of Protection, how much MP it costs, and casting time in rounds, and so forth. So we have a nice little a variety of options here, as well as information on mythos ratings, how to cast spells, and so forth, as well as the conventional spells for Call of Cthulhu. So you have now two magic systems, the Hermetic system and the classic Call of Cthulhu magic system in this book. So keep a note on that, as well as the various important books in which you can acquire said spells from, such as the King in Yellow and the Necronomicon. This chapter 3 is all about running gaslight games. Very nice. Overall bit of artwork for the chapter. The various tiers of society. Obviously, it's exceedingly important in the 1700s and the 1800s, and even into the early 1900s, to understand how stratified human societies were, and even to the extent in some cultures, they even had a caste system where you were literally born into a classification role in society, and you could literally never leave that role in society. So everyone who is in the 2000s now, who is freaking out about how horrifyingly difficult it is to get anywhere in society, there was a point in time before the early 1900s where you literally did not have, literally by law of society and governance, the capacity to move from one social class to another. You were literally set for life in one role or another, regardless of whatever you did. So it was hard written. Or as opposed modern society, it's largely a matter of organizing your personal priorities in life, and then setting your goals, and then minimizing the unnecessary and maximizing the essential. So there you go. A little side jaunt into society structures and such. We got a good little table 6 for social class and conversation. Bonuses and penalties is given for one person talking to another person. As I said before the early 1900s, or let's say the mid 1900s, you were pretty much judged heavily by where you were born in society. So there you go. How to get a bad reputation, how to get a good reputation. If you had a good reputation and lost some of it, how do you regain it? Rules here. Carriage chase rules. More running rules on running through the game and so forth. Games and campaigns. New keeper advice is right here. Fun little bits in that campaign styles, episodic campaigns, character-based campaigns, and plotted campaigns and more. You have a section talking about themes such as the mythos, Victorian science fiction, folk horror, ghosts, American West, and so much more. Overall, I am generally loving this book. It has a good amount of artwork and nice big poppy title pieces. However, there are a lot of pages where it literally is nothing but text. And for the ADHD brain to see long columns of text without a little piece of artwork slid in there can get quite hard on the ADHD mind to tolerate. We have a nice little map of London, appropriate to the 1800s or late 1800s. A London map key, running more on the Gaslight game settings and organizations. You have a fun little section on notable Victorians of note, fictional people that have done major things in the times of the late 1800s that your characters should definitely know, or if they were to do a bit of research or to find out about. Many of these characters, but not all, have stat blocks for them. Particularly characters that would live in the late 1800s that your characters would most likely run into. But then some don't have stat blocks, such as this gentleman right here. But he does. So it would be nice if you had more stat blocks for every character, or made a point of having stat blocks for every single character that's included in the book. Oh, Annie Oakley. There is actually a somewhat popular conspiracy theory that Annie Oakley is actually not a woman, but actually a man. And it's largely hinged on the fact that her facial structure is largely of the morphology of a human male. Actually not terribly dissimilar to Buffalo Bill's face, if you can see correctly here. That she has a very short jaw that is very broad. I'm not saying that it is true or not, but I found it rather fascinating. And she definitely does have facial structure that very closely matches a man's facial structure. So Wilford Brodie, stage magician, and so forth. And you have just an incredible range of options. You have men and women of the era of note. Yet again, not all the people mentioned in the book have stat blocks. Even some of the ones that even would be in your time frame don't. Inspector Ripper Hunter. Yes, the famous Jack the Ripper Hunter. You have lots and lots of famous characters. You have chapter 5, which is on Victorian horrors, which talks about various beliefs of terrifying events relating to basically I'm now having a brain fart remembering the term for it. Essentially old wives' tales, no. Urban legends, yes. Various urban legends related to London around that time, but also around bits of Europe and the United States of the late 1800s. The Factory Girls of London and so forth, as well as various other legends and myths that could be related. You also have in here, as well as various creatures that your party can run up against. The Forby Masterwork which looks like an emission. Yeah. So you have yourself a little adventure here. Oranges and Lemons, which is another adventure to set your party up in the 1800s. At some point I might actually have to run this for people, but you have some generic stat boxes. Let's go back to here. Appendix A, Keeper Resources. You have a whole bunch of stuff on various important details. This is more or less what appears to be a quick reference section of very important terms and characters, just listed out very quickly. Kind of feels slightly unnecessary. And then you have Appendix B, which is the section I showed you earlier, that has just generic basic characters such as criminal mastermind, aristocrat, anarchist, cultist, mage, and more, which is a rather short section with some artwork. And then we happen to have the specific Cthulhu by Gaslight 8 investigator sheets with the adjusted or added in and subtracted skills list for characters, as well as your personal character links. And then we have immediately, my hand is actually getting tired from holding it up. Then we also have the Pulp Cthulhu version of it. So you have the regular and the Pulp Cthulhu version. So you have two different versions of the character sheets. It's depending on what style rules you want to play by. You also have a nice index right back here that quickly indexes you to all the important terms and concepts to run through it. You also have a nice little section right here denoting the next section where you can get some player version maps for your adventures in this book, as well as other fun stuff. And then we have an advertisement for the Investigator's Guide, which I already have. It's kind of sitting in my pile waiting to be done and for videos, as well as Call of Cthulhu Arkham book, which is another setting book for Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. And we have Cultists of Cthulhu, which is another really cool book to get. Overall, yet again, by the way, it's the standard cheap ribbons. Almost everyone uses the cheap style ribbons, not the high-end ribbons. You don't ever really see the high-end ribbons anymore. Usually most people seem to be just happy with the cheap style ones. The difference between the high-end ribbons and the cheap ribbons is that if you were to look really close at the ends, it's simply just stitched together, and instead of having a capping stitch or a block that locks it, folds it up and ties it up, you have sort of just this fray here on the end. If something catches that and pulls it, the whole thing will come apart. So there you go. Overall, if you are a fan of the late 1800s and you are a fan of Call of Cthulhu 7th edition, this is the book for the game master to run that game. This is a pretty solid book overall. I would say it's a solid 4 stars in itself. There could be a few more things in here, a little bit of artwork to break up the long text boxes, but overall it's fairly easy to read even in spite of those long text boxes, as the lettering is quite large and it's well spaced. So there's just small improvements overall. It is very nice that they do include a They do ship it in a shrink wrap to protect the quality of the cover. The quality of the hardcover is a premium grade hardcover. It is not super soft or flexible. It doesn't feel like if someone just accidentally bumps into this, it's not going to fold itself. So there you go. Overall, I do highly recommend it. Oh, by the way, it's printed in Poland, not in China. So bonus points there. So there you go. If you want more Call of Cthulhu on the channel, please like and subscribe, and tell me so in the comments below. And I'll make a point of putting more Call of Cthulhu into the rotation of the videos that I'm putting out in the future. I have already covered several Call of Cthulhu 7th edition books, as well as I think I also covered like a 6th edition book and maybe a 7th edition book earlier. I could probably still do that, though. So, there you go. I hope you have a delightful day, a nice night, a wonderful weekend, a magnificent month, and see you next time. Ciao.